Let's bring you up to speed with National 2 West. And for those who follow this league in particular, you'll know there is a huge game coming up on Saturday with a title showdown between Clifton and Camborne at Station Road. 1 point separates second place Clifton and league leaders Camborne after both secured bonus point victories in round 23. Camborne returned to winning ways with an efficient 26-14 victory over fourth place Cinderford, while 2 tries in the final 8 minutes saw Clifton defeat Hornets 36-24 away from home. So it all means we are set for a mouth-watering contest in Bristol on Saturday afternoon with Clifton hosting Camborne. And of course, Camborne are in pole position at the moment, but Clifton come into this one having won their last 6 games, and they've actually lost just 1 of their last 18 matches at Station Road. So many ingredients going into this one as a National 2 West title race comes to the boil. So ahead of this weekend, and with Clifton being the home side, we caught up with head coach Luke Cousins and inside centre Marcus Nell. So something a little bit different to begin this week, because it doesn't feel like any normal week with such a big game on the horizon in National 2 West, with Clifton hosting Camborne this weekend. And as you can see, joining me this week are Clifton's Luke Cousins and Marcus Nell on the National League Rugby preview show. And Luke, just to begin with, I said there, it doesn't feel like a normal week, and rarely at this time of the season it is a normal week when you're at the sharp end of things. So just give us the Clifton perspective. How are you lads feeling as we speak on Tuesday night?
Well, like I say, there's a lot of excitement. We've obviously got to get selection out of the way at some point, so there'll be a bit of disappointment. But like I said to some of the boys, this is a big game. If the result goes our way, guess what? There's a bigger game next week. But if that goes our way, there's a bigger game the week after. So, but like I said, we bought into a one club philosophy all year. So, boys have done their part. We can only pick 20. So, the 20 on the field are going to work for everyone.
I think there's a good sense of confidence within the group. Doing a lot of things that we've worked on for the last couple of years, and obviously we've strengthened it this season, and kind of feeling in a really good space going into the weekend, and I guess just trying to frame it around us and the types of things that we can do to showcase our brand of rugby.
And you talk about kind of confidence there, Marcus. And when we spoke to Luke and Matt at the start of January, one of the things they both touched on was how difficult it is to be really consistent in National 2 West. But the form you've shown this season, I think it's kind of just 1 defeat since October, 17 wins from the last 18. How have you been able to manage that? And I guess has confidence grown as each week's passed by and as the tests keep coming?
I think as a group of players, we've probably developed organically and through people coming into the club, a group of leaders and I guess senior players, and those people have been able to, I guess, manage the group and kind of take people along with them. So a lot of the time during sessions, you see players having conversations amongst themselves. Cuz a lot of the time has to try bring us back, but it's all of us trying to have conversations about how we can develop each other and be in a good space as a group.
Yeah, we've got structure, but I want blokes to go out and play and express themselves. So everything I give to them is for them to make the decision. So they can choose how they want to play. Can I present them with enough in training to present all the different scenarios they might come up against? It's tough, but end of the day, they're on the park. If you can stand back and not do much, you're in a good place.
And Luke, has that been maybe the most pleasing thing, if you want to just narrow things down to the kind of last 6-7 weeks or so, where you have strung this brilliant run of wins together? You've been able to put the pressure on Camborne as much as you can, because from an outsider looking in, it seems like you've had to adapt, find different solutions to win different games, whether it's Macclesfield away or scoring 10 tries at home to Loughborough. Have we seen that your team adapt to different scenarios, as you just touched on there?
Yeah, well, like I say, Macclesfield away was on paper, we were the favourites, but, it was a wet, cold winter's day and they made it damn difficult for us. And we probably didn't find the solution until about the 60th minute. And then, we cranked up through the gears and saw that away. And then likewise last week, Hornets always difficult. They're a very difficult team down there. It's never easy. And if you traditionally look at the last few years, the teams that have won the league have struggled down in their place. So to come through that was a lot of character, and they put us under pressure, and the lads pulled through. So under pressure, so it was a good sign.
Yeah, and has that been maybe a little bit of a difference this year, Marcus, to maybe Clifton sides over the last 3-4 years or so? I know you've been a real ever present in the team that have constantly finished towards the top of the division, whether that's National 2 West, National 2 South. So what kind of steps have been taken for Clifton to take the next step this season, and potentially maybe the biggest step in their club's recent history?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, and probably this year, like Cuz said, that idea of like one club. But what that's done is it's meant that we've had probably a bit more depth, and as a result, we can make changes, and it seems to be seamless, and people can contribute in a really positive way to the group, whether they've been in for a week or out for a week. So I think that's probably one of the things that's put us in a good space. And I think the way that we've developed in terms of some of those tougher games, I think historically we generally may have folded in some of those situations, and historically teams have put big scores on us, but we seem to be quite a different outfit this year, where in those tricky situations we do just take a moment and then come back with something else which we think is going to work.
And that must be one of the most impressive things for you, Luke, as well, because I know, Camborne have been pretty much at the top of the table for such a large portion of this season. And no matter whether it's been 10 points, whether it's been 6 points, or whether it's been 1 point, the gap between them and the chasing pack, you've kind of focused on yourselves. You've kept churning out the results. So how important has that mentality for you been to just focus on yourselves? If it's not going right, take a minute and then you'll be able to work out a situation.
Yeah, like I say, we've got the two best teams on Saturday, consistency-wise. So we got a lot of respect for Camborne, and in a way, us chasing them has driven us on to be able to play the way we are playing. And I expect they'll say the same, vice versa. At this time of year, it's rare nowadays to get a game like this. So, you know what I mean? We don't know what's going to happen Saturday. Both teams are very capable of winning the game. It's who turns up and does the business. So that's what's, as a neutral and as for National League Rugby, it's why it's a great spectacle coming on Saturday. I want the boys to go play Saturday and come off the field, no matter the result, actually going, well, we put the best version of us, and if they play really well and they can beat that, then we can take it on the chin, But I don't want us to go out there and not produce. So that's probably the main pressure, not really the result, who wins, who goes up. Just let's put on a performance, both sides, and let's get the man in the middle, let the game flow. And, all these people that don't usually come to the rugby grounds, they're going to be here Saturday, and, they might want to come back, God forbid.
And Marcus, Luke kind of said there that, you've got to kind of focus on yourselves this weekend. I know you only played Camborne, I think it's exactly 2 months ago, where you went up to their place for the rearranged fixture. So how much can you guys as players take from that experience of playing them only 2 months ago into this game, even though we are framing it as such a kind of standalone game and a special game in the season?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because probably teams don't drift away too much from what they typically do week on week. So I guess there's definitely going to be some consistency in what they do. I do also think that there's an inevitability that in a game like this, teams tend to think of something outside the box. So I guess this weekend we've probably also got to be willing to expect the unexpected. It's not going to be predictable Camborne. They're probably going to throw something different at us. So we've got to stay alert to that as well.
And on the occasion, Marcus, I saw kind of Luke's message in the Clifton WhatsApp the other week saying, this is the biggest home game for certainly recent years. So when you do see words or hear words like that, Marcus, and you see the publicity that the club are putting out on social media, what kind of emotions stir within the playing group? Does it kind of add to the excitement that you talked about at the start of our chat?
Yeah, I think it's a hugely emotive week. Like however you look at it, like Kaz said, you don't often get games like this too often where you get two quality sides going out on a weekend. Looks like it should be half decent weather as well. So like a day like that, good game of rugby. I think it just has to be seen as exciting. Inevitably, thoughts come into the equation in terms of what it holds. But I think just generally, boys are excited, and that's probably been, I guess, our overrunning emotion throughout the season is excitement about every week. We're in a really exciting position this year to do something. And I think having people come down, being able to play an exciting brand of rugby should be the type of thing that makes people want to get involved with the club, whether that's playing, supporting, or volunteering in some sort of way. And hopefully what we see this weekend is a real coming together of the rugby community in and around Bristol.
So big thanks to both Luke and Marcus for their time earlier in the week. The anticipation and the excitement building towards Saturday, and a Clifton win would absolutely set us up for a fascinating conclusion to the season. But a Camborne victory at Station Road would represent a huge step towards a first ever promotion to National 1 for the Cherry and White, and they could also take a step towards a second promotion in 3 seasons. So much on the line on Saturday afternoon. And Clifton's last defeat, incidentally, came against Camborne at the start of February, a 31-24 loss against their title rivals on that occasion. But what will happen this time around? It's such a big game on Saturday, so we wanted to give it the coverage that it deserves. So get yourself down to Station Road if you're in and around the Bristol area. It's a 2:30 kickoff on Saturday for what is set to be a massive game in the National 2 West season. And the reason potentially we find ourselves in this scenario now is because 7th place Luctonians actually beat Camborne 25-17 back in round 22, and that allowed Clifton to close the gap to a single point to Camborne. And conveniently, Luctonians are our second feature club of the week on the National League Rugby preview show. So they've had a hand in potentially this title race in terms of setting up such a big game on Saturday. But over the last couple of seasons, Luctonians have been in those top positions in National 2 West. Just last season, they were very much in the title race for large portions of the campaign before Dings Crusaders swooped in to claim promotion. And the season before that, they actually finished in 4th place. But this year, that progression that Luctonians like to target each and every season hasn't really followed suit, with Ryan Watkins' side currently sitting 7th in the standings after what has been a pretty mixed campaign for the men from Mortimer Park. But back-to-back victories to end March, which included that win against Camborne and a 38-27 success away at Bourneville, has given Luctonians a bit of a springboard to end this campaign strongly. So with the final month of the season beginning at the weekend, we caught up with Luctonians boss Ryan Watkins and first 15 skipper Ben Link as they prepare for their round 24 meeting with Exeter University. Let's start with you, Ryan, if you don't mind. And if you can believe it or not, April is already here and there's only 3 games left to go in this National 2 West campaign. But kind of from a Luctonians perspective, how do you kind of assess the season for you guys this year?
It's been a little frustrating. Last year we obviously did really well and, nearly clinched promotion. But we've had a few obstacles, let's say, this year to deal with that we were quite fortunate last year. We didn't get a few more injuries and players getting a few more cards and those sort of things we've had to contend with. And, a few boys moved on, some onto, bigger and better things, some retired and things like that. So, and probably the transition of some of those players into key positions has took a bit of time. So, it's been an eventful year, and it's been a little bit up and down.
Yeah, and would you go along with that kind of sentiment, Ben? Because outsiders looking in will see Luctonians certainly over the last couple of years of finishing in a really strong fourth place, as Ryan touched on there. You were in the title picture for so long last season, but it's easy for someone from the outside to look in and go, "Wow, there's been a massive drop off," but there has been changes. This is a kind of a new squad which is developing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We've had a bit of influx at the seconds this year, and a couple of lads moving on. So obviously it takes time to gel and systems of play and stuff like that to make it work. We started pretty well, but had a bit of a blip off. It takes a little bit of time to recover. We're quite an honest bunch, and we sat down. We've lost more games than we sort of wanted to this year. We've addressed a few problems, and we're trying to do it towards the end of the season now. Is to kick on and really kickstart our season next year, and it starts now.
Yeah, I think, we obviously beat Camborne a couple of weeks ago, and that was almost, as frustrating as it was brilliant, because it's proved, we can be up there with anybody and turn the best guys over. And we also had a decent win against Bourneville last week. So I do feel that we're on the right track again. I think from a coaching point of view, we try to strip things back a little bit down to basics, concentrate on just getting fit again, getting skills right, and getting a bit of grit about our game, because I think that did go missing, for a few weeks. So, no, I think that, we're on the right path to making moves again, coming back. And I think we're looking at eyeing up 3 wins before the end of the season, 3 winnable games for us. And I think with the last couple of games, we've shown to have a bit of form about us again, and we want to finish on a high.
Yeah, because I was going to come on to that, Ryan, because I've seen kind of some of the clips on Luctonian social media in some of the post-match interviews, and when you were going through that very tricky run towards that Camborne game, you could tell you were frustrated, deflated, you wanted to see things turn around. So how pleasing has those last 2 victories been? Of course, beating the league lead is a massive, massive achievement. I think you kind of described it as the performance of the season for you guys, but how pleasing have the last 2 weeks been to give yourselves this chance of ending the season really strongly?
There's always a sense of relief when you go for a bad patch and then you get a win, back. And I think some of it's got to go to the players as well. Like they just made their mind up that they were going to beat Camborne, and you could sense on the Tuesday night and the Thursday and the Saturday. So I think that's the biggest lesson for them almost as players, is like they can drive this as much as the coaching team can, and if not more. They've got all the tools and abilities that they need to go and beat anybody in this league. The challenge is being able to back it up every single week. It's a tough league. There's a lot of quality size in this league this year. With the Nat 1 teams coming down, Camborne going well, and a few of the teams have picked form up and things like that. So, yeah, it's not been easy, but we've proved we can do it. So, can we unlock that? Every single week. That's the challenge.
And how have you found it as a player, Ben, with these new challenges? Because as I said before, you've been in these leagues for a while, you've been around Luctonians for a while, but it does seem that National League Rugby gets even more competitive. And I guess as a player, you've got to continuously look to try and up your game where possible.
Yeah. Well, being a captain this year in squad, and we're in a bit of a dip of form, motivate the lads a little bit. But since we sort of sat down and addressed a few problems, it's been a lot easier. Lads have got a bit of a buzz about them. The buzz is about the sparks back, and it's been a good place to be.
And just looking at kind of the strength of the league with you, Ryan, just quickly, as you mentioned it before, we've had chats in the past where you've always said, Luctonians want to build on wherever they finished the year before, and you've done that incredibly well in recent times. But is that also added to the challenge this year, that the level of competition has continued to go up?
I think so, yeah. And, we did probably have a lot of things go our way last year. The stars aligned a little bit for us as well. But no, like I said, it's been a frustrating year. I think we need to take that away, and the boys themselves, again, the players need to really have the bit about the teeth. They need to hit the ground hard in pre-season and go after every single week. They're more than capable of doing that. I think, as I've already said, that is the challenge, though. Is not just getting yourselves up for the big games. The top 4 sides that you really want to beat. It's being able to put that performance in and put away the bottom end sides as well. So therefore, we need to have a level of concentration and an accuracy in our game that can sort of put the lower sides away. But at the minute we're sort of bang in the middle. So yeah, we sort of need to address a few things. And I think if we can get our games right, we've got 2 home games and 1 away game. We're in hopefully decent form again now. I think let's go and get 15 points on the board and see where that gets us.
So big thanks to both Ryan and Ben for their time on Tuesday evening. As we say, looking to end the season how they started it with 5 straight wins, and they'll be targeting a 3rd win in a row this weekend to take them into the final couple of games of this season. As we said, Luctonians do host Exeter University on Saturday, and Exeter themselves are on the cusp of safety in National 2 West. So just to bring up the bottom half of the table now, where, as you can see, Exeter University are 13 points clear of the danger zone, while 12th place Macclesfield are also in a similar boat. The Cheshire club scored 4 tries in the final half an hour away at 3rd place Taunton in round 23 to earn 2 bonus points in a 38-33 defeat, which leaves them 11 clear of the bottom 2 with 15 points left to play for. So it means time is running out for bottom 2 sides, Bourneville and Devonport Services, with the latter resigned to relegation. Boss Ben Russell more or less telling the local press after their 47-45 defeat to Loughborough Students last time out, and he also expressed that their target now is to not finish bottom of the division, and both Bourneville and Devonport Services could have their fate sealed this weekend, but more on that shortly. And just a brief reminder of the state of play at the top. As we said, Camborne and Clifton separated by that 1 point ahead of Saturday's mega clash at Station Road, while the race is on for a top 4 finish with 6 points separating Cinderford and actually 9th placed Hinckley, who aren't on this page. So positions to play for across the final 3 games, and the first block of fixtures in April looks a little bit like this, and we'll start with the bottom 2, with Bourneville travelling to Cinderford. The Chocos must gain a minimum of 1 point from their trip to Dockham Road to avoid the drop this weekend. That is something they haven't achieved on the road since November. So what can Alex Grove and his side conjure up on Saturday? As for Devonport Services, they are at home to Hornets, but no anything less than a bonus point victory would see them go back down to level 5. The fully amateur club have given this season a real go, but their time in National 2 West could be up on Saturday. Just scanning towards the bottom of the list, where a bonus point victory for Macclesfield at home to 5th placed and an informed Loughborough Students would guarantee their safety in National 2, and that safety would also be confirmed if Bourneville and Devonport failed to hit their objectives. But either way, it would be some achievement for Mac to stay up in National 2 West. And Exeter, who we've mentioned, face Luctonians this weekend. 2 league points or more for them would rubber stamp another season in National League Rugby for Gareth Elliott's troops. So much to play for towards the bottom of the table this weekend. Elsewhere, we've of course highlighted Clifton versus Camborne, so we'll touch on Hinckley versus Old Redcliffians and Redruth versus Taunton. Hinckley, who've won 4 in a row now, are eyeing up a spot in the top half, while 10th place Old Redcliffians will be targeting 3 wins on the spin for the first time this season. And as for Redruth, success defeats against Macclesfield and Hinckley respectively have seen them drop into the bottom half, but they are only 5 points off 4th as they prepare to entertain Taunton Titans.